Welcome to all of you, dear students. We are going to continue with the Unit 2, that is usage of objects and classes. And today, the topics are this keyword in Java, adding methods in class with example, and predefined class string. So today we are going to discuss these topics. We'll start with the this keyword in Java. The object which invokes a method is called the implicit or hidden object. Sometimes a method may need to refer to this implicit object. To allow this, Java defines this keyword. So this keyword always refers to current or implicit object. And the most common use of this keyword is to eliminate the confusion between class attributes and the parameters with the same name. So whenever you declare the attributes in the class and whenever you pass the parameters to the function, if they are having same name, then to eliminate the confusion between these same names, we can make use of this keyword. So this keyword can be used for resolving the ambiguity between local variable and instance variable. It is also used to return the implicit object. It is used to invoke methods and access instance members, and it is used to invoke one constructor within another constructor. So whenever we want to resolve the ambiguity between local and instance variable, what does this mean? When the local variable has the same name as the instance variable, the local variable hides the instance variable. Hence, this can be used to specify instance variable. So here we can make use of this keyword to specify instance variable. Secondly, in some cases, a method may want to return implicit object itself. In such case, we can make use of this for returning. Then instance members and methods can be accessed using this keyword inside a method. And lastly, from within the constructor, you can also use this keyword to call another constructor in same class. Doing so is called explicit constructor invocation. So let us discuss the example for all these purposes. Now in this example, we have two classes. First one is the class having main function and the name of that class is test, and another class is class A. So in class A we have declared one integer variable small a. Then there is a constructor which is default constructor having no parameter. It returns zero value. Actually it invokes the constructor. Then we have parameterized constructor. In this we have removed the ambiguity, or we have resolved the ambiguity between instance variable and the variable which is passed in the constructor. Both are having same name. So to resolve the name conflict, we have used this keyword. Then next one is the modify function. Its return type is the class name. That means it is going to return the object. So it returns the implicit object. Here we have used return this, means it is returning the implicit object. Then next one is one method. Name of that method is method 1 and its return type is void, and it's having the code of just simple println statement. Again method 2. In method 2 we have called the method 1. So here we have used this dot method 1. Instead of this we can directly write method 1. Here we can directly write the method 1, or we can make use of this dot method 1 to call the method. So this keyword is also used to invoke the method. So in main class, or the class having main function, we have created the object of class A, that is we have called the default constructor, then called the parameterized constructor with value 10. So this A will get value 10. Then display the value using object 2, that is 10. Then display the then create the object 3 of the same class, and here we have called the modify function. Actually this obj 3 of object a, it is storing the return value of modify function because we have written the object. So to store that object value we have created or we have declared the object 3. And on the next three lines, we have just displayed the values of a variable with different object. Using object 1 it's 0, then using object 2 it's 100, and using object 3 again it's 100. Now why it's 100 using object 2? Because whenever we display the object 2 dot a, actually object 2 whenever it is created it is having value 10, but later on in modify method it is modified to 100. So after creation of object 2 we are calling the modify method, and in modify method that value is 100. So a is updated to 100 now, and later on after calling modify method we are displaying the object 2 dot a. So it will display the modified value because a is the variable which is declared inside the class, not within any local function. So any function having local variable, that is not the case. Here it is declared in the class, so that is the instance variable. Hence the modified value is displayed here on the second line. So we can see the output of this program. So let us go to the command prompt. On command prompt we'll see which are the programs. We'll open that program, test this.java. So this is the program. We'll compile the program. So let us compile the program javac test underscore this.java, and then execute the program using Java tool. Here we'll get the output. So initially we get the value 10. So in our code, if we go to the code, initially object 1 is created. Let us compile the program javac test this.java and then execute the program. So initially we have value 50 because in default constructor we have passed the value 50 in the program. Then in parameterized constructor we have passed the value 10, so we got output as 10. Then next println, again it displays the value of object 1 dot a, so it displays again default value, that is 50. Then display 100. Here it is displaying 100 and it is not displaying 10 or the previous value because it is modified in the modify function. So after that we are displaying this value, so we'll get here 100. And then in method 2 and in method 1, these are the println statements in the method. So here if this is the method 1, it displays in method 1 and then in method 2. So I hope you have understood the concept of this keyword. What are the four purposes of this keyword? To resolve the ambiguity between local and instance variable, to return the implicit object, to invoke methods and access instance members, and to invoke one constructor within another. So here we have invoked the constructor, then we have resolved the name conflict, then returning the object using this keyword, and we are calling the another method in method 2 using this keyword. So we can use this keyword using this for view. The next concept is adding methods in the class. Now you know the syntax of the method. We are just going through the syntax quickly. So here first one is the modifiers. It is given in this square brackets, that means it is optional part. You may not specify the modifiers, but you have to mention the return type, the name of the methods. Then parameters are also optional. You just can give the opening closing brackets, rounded brackets. You may not mention the parameters, and if you don't want to mention any return type, you can make use of void keyword. Then throws, and if there is any exception, you can make use of that exception here. So what are the compulsory things? You have to mention the return type or void keyword, then name of the method. These are the compulsory things. You need the opening closing brackets, these rounded brackets. Then body of the method. In body of the method, you can write the statements. Before that, you can give the declaration of the variables. So return type, it is compulsory required. It is any data type or void keyword. Method name is a valid identifier. You should not use the keywords as method name. You should use the valid name to the method. Then opening closing rounded brackets, these are required, and parameter list is optional. As I said, you may not mention the parameters because, for example, suppose you want to display something and you are using display method, so you may not need to pass the parameters to that display method. So you can use just opening closing rounded bracket. Then exception list is also optional. If exceptions are going to be if exceptions are going to be occur in your program, then you can use this exception list. Like for buffer reader, you need to compulsory throw IO exception, so you can use here throws and IO exception. Then you can have the body part. Now the first part in the syntax is modifiers. So access modifiers can be public, private, protected, or you may not mention any access modifiers. That means that is default access. So it is optional part, and some other modifiers which are applied to the method are abstract, final, static, synchronized, native, and strict FP. So abstract method is a method whose body has not been defined. A subclass is then responsible for providing body of this method. Final method cannot be overridden in the subclass. That means in inheritance, if you don't want to allow the uh, overriding of the method, then you can make use of final keyword for that method. Static method is a class method and invoke on behalf of entire class. Synchronized method is related to multi-threading, and only one thread can execute this method at a time. The method which is declared as synchronized. The native method is written in a native language like C or C++. Strict FP, that means strict floating point. If the method is declared as strict FP, it has all floating point arithmetic evaluated strictly. So these are some additional modifiers along with the default modifiers which can be used in the class for the method. This is the general syntax of the method. We have already studied the syntax on previous slide. This is again given on this slide for simplicity and for better understanding. Access specifier as public, int is the return type, method name is add, and int a and int b. This is the parameter list. So this green box, this is the method header, and below that you can write the method body, or rather you have to write the method body. Then this is the example for writing the method. How do you write the method? You are already aware of this. We'll quickly go through this. So in this, there is a main function, class name is even odd. In main function, we have declared the object of scanner class and we are reading a number using that object. So that number is stored into this num variable. And then we are calling the get underscore even odd method by passing that num variable. So control will go to the execution of that method. Whenever this call will execute, control will come here and then this method will execute. So in method body what is given, it is the statement of just checking whether number is even or odd. So number mod 2, if it is 0, that means that number is even, otherwise number is odd, so that message is just displayed. So this example demonstrates how to write the method. So in this class we have written one method and we have called that method in the main function by passing one parameter num. Next one is the predefined class, that is string. So what is a string? String is nothing but a sequence of characters. String characters are represented in Unicode in Java language. Java strings are a sequence of 0 or more Unicode characters. However, a string is not an array in Java but an object of string class, that is java.lang package. Java.lang.string class handles strings as a set of Unicode characters. So whenever you want to use this string, you have to use java.lang package, or you can directly use java.lang.string class. The advantage of string being an object is that it can be treated like any other object and also has several methods to perform operations on it. One important point to note is that strings are immutable in Java. Now, what does this mean? Strings are immutable in Java. What does this mean? So, let us see what is the meaning of this statement. Now, here is a class. Class name is immutable str. Then main function. In main function, we have declared one string object and it is initialized to string tybc. Kindly note that whenever you declare the variable of type string, that means you are creating the object of string class. So strings are treated as objects. Then we have used one function concat and we are concatenating another string, that is class, to the original string. Then we have displayed the value of s. So it will print only tybca. It will not print tybca class. Why? Because strings are immutable in Java. This means that the contents of string object cannot be modified. Any changes made to the string object will result in new object, the keeping old one unchanged. So here the old object is s, and whenever we do the concatenation, we should create the new object for storing this complete concatenation of tybca and class string, so that we'll get the proper output whenever we display the object s. So what modification we have to do in the program? Here, after concatenation, we are again storing result into s. That means s is again created and then will get the complete output tybca class. So here original s is not modified. Actually it is again created and it is modified with value, and we have now value tybca class. So we have the updated value. I hope you have understood this point. What is the meaning of strings are immutable? The string object, once you declare, it cannot be modified. The same object cannot be modified. Whenever you want to change the value of that string object, if you do the modification, it will result into new object and the old one will be unchanged. So we in this program will get the output as tybc class for this program, because we have again created s object. Here kindly note that TYBCA object is not modified. Here original S is not modified. Here we have again created yes. So here yes is newly created. These are some constructors of string class. So first one is the default constructor. It creates an empty string. We have one example how to create the empty string. Then second one is the constructor with object as parameter. We have example also. So here in this example we have created the string object using default constructor and we are passing that object to another string object. So here S2 is created with this parameterized constructor and this parameterized constructor has object as the parameter. So it initializes a newly created string object so that it represents the same sequence of characters as the argument. So whatever value you are storing into this S1, same sequence of characters will be there into S2. In other words, newly created string is a copy of argument string. Then third constructor, we have the parameter that is the character array. This allocates the new string so that it represents the sequence of characters currently contained in the character array argument. So whenever you create the object of this S, it has the new string. And what is the new string? The contents of character array, that is A, B, C, D. So here S will have the contents A, B, C, D. The next one, constructor with some more parameters. The first one is the character array, then integer variable start index and integer variable count. This constructor allocates a new string that contains the characters from sub array of character array argument. So here in example we have passed the ARR this array archar this array as an argument and start index is 1 and count is 2. So what is the start index in this array? 1. Where is 1? 0, 1. So 1 is at B. And how many characters are to be considered in the substring? So two characters. So B and C. These two characters will come into this S object as string. So output will be BC. S will have value BC. Similarly, the next constructor, it is having the same functionality. Only the difference is that this construct new string by decoding the specified subarray of bytes using platform's default char set. So here values are passed as bytes instead of characters. So those byte values are then converted into characters depending on the default character set of the platform where you are going to execute the program, and then you will get the output. So here start index is 2, so 0 1 2. So here 67 is the value. From 67 we'll have 3 characters, so 67, 68 and 69. So we get the output C D E, 67 for C, 68 for D and 69 for E. So these byte values are actually mapped to the characters depending on the characters set provided by the system, and then we'll get the output. So in ASCII we have value CDE, that is 67, 68 and 69. So we are getting the ASCII representation output. These are some important methods of string class. So what are the methods? First one is char at. It returns the character at the position which is denoted by the integer index which is passed as parameter to that function. The first character of the string is at index 0. You know this, whenever we store the string value, it will start with the index 0. Then concat function, it returns the new string which is the old string followed by the str value which is passed into this concat function. Then compare to, it does the comparison and it returns a negative integer if the current string is less than str. So here we have passed the value of str, and if current string with whom you are doing the comparison, if that current string is less than this str, then it returns a negative integer. It returns 0 if two strings are identical, and it returns the integer value greater than 0 if the current string is greater than this str string. Then next function is ends with. It returns true if the current string ends with the value which is passed to that function, that is suffix. So if current string, if it is ending with the value which is given here in the suffix, then it will return true value because its return type is boolean. Then equals, this function returns true if the string that object refers to, which objects which is passed as parameter to that equals function, if it refers to the some value, and if that value which object holds, if it matches to the string that the calling object refers to, if both are equal, then it is going to return true value. Then next one, equals ignore case. It compares the two strings by ignoring the case, whether it is capital case or small case. Then getChars function, it has 4 arguments. It copies the characters from the string from index which is given as value to the function, that is source start. Then it will go up to source end, and it copies those characters to the array target from index target start. So it copies the characters into this target array from the index target start. So here target start, this is the index given in the array, and from there the characters are stored. Then index of, this function returns the index within the string of the first appearance of the character which is given here ch. Then last index of, it returns the index within the string of the last appearance of the ch. So last appearance of this character is searched. Then length, it returns the total number of characters in the string. Then replace, this function returns the new string generated by replacing every occurrence of old character in this string with new character. You are going to mention the value of old character and new character. So old character will be replaced by new characters. Then next one, starts with. It returns to if this string starts with specified prefix. Then returns, next one is substring. This function returns new string, that is a substring of this string starting from integer, from the index begin index. So here substring function, it has two parameters. It has one parameter, that is begin index, and this function is going to return the new substring. That means it is going to return the substring that is part of the original string starting from the index which you have mentioned as parameter to that function. The next one is toChar array. It returns a character array containing all characters from the string. Then two lowercase and two uppercase, these are used to convert the case. Then toString returns the calling object itself. This function returns the calling object itself. And a trim function returns new string after omitting the leading and trailing white spaces. So these are these few functions from string class. There are some more functions, but these are few functions from the string class which are commonly used and useful in programming. So for today, this much is enough. What are the topics we discussed today? Some important methods of string class, constructors of string class. Then strings are immutable. What does this mean? That we discussed with the example. Then example of writing method. Then the use of the this keyword. This was the first topic of the today's lecture. So thank you so much, and if you have any doubt, post your doubts or queries in Google Classroom. So thank you so much.